My name is Cora and welcome to Craftopia, where we are creating a safe space for artists and crafters of all ages and experience levels to learn, create, explore, and grow. I'd like to invite you to check out our website at www.crafttopiawa.com, where you can learn more about our organization and vision and see a list of upcoming classes. You can also follow us on social media at CrafttopiaWA. Now, pull up a chair, get comfortable, and let's get crafty.
Today we're going to be making fun, brightly colored baubles using glue and paper. These are incredibly messy to make, so definitely do this someplace protected. If you're using a kit from Craftopia, you have everything you need, except you will need a cup or glass of water to dilute our glue down. And then I do recommend having some sort of cup or bowl to set your balloon in to dry. So these do take about 24 hours to dry once done. And you may need a little bit of help getting that balloon blown up as well. These can be pretty thick. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using some scrapped pieces of paper today. Just because I had them lying around, I was going to toss them in recycling. So I thought, well, why not turn these into a cool bowl? So these are just a bunch of Craftopia's old flyers. Again, I've got a glue and I have an old balloon here too left over from a birthday party. So I'm going to be utilizing that today. All right, so to start, we're going to open our glue. These containers can be a little tricky to get open. They're very, very secure so the glue doesn't leak, but that also means that they are a little bit stiff to open up. So there's these teeny little tabs on the corner. Find them, pry one up. And you're going to dump about half of that glue. You can use your popsicle stick to do that. I'm going to use this knife. We're going to dump about half of our glue onto our plastic plate here. Exact amounts do not really matter, so don't stress about that. And we're going to try to add about the same amount of water as we added glue. So we have what's called a 1-to-1 ratio, same amount of water as glue. Again, just kind of guessing there. And then we're going to mix that all together until it is completely incorporated. So as you can see, the glue kind of likes to swirl around a little bit. We don't want any swirls or clumps, so just mix, 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 mix until all of your water and glue turns into kind of this white, runny slime looking stuff. Don't worry about any bubbles or anything. They're not going to matter one bit. So now again, I said this is a very, very messy craft. We're about to get our fingers into this mixture, so do be sure that you are doing this someplace easy to wash. The glue will peel off once it's dried as well, so but you might want to make sure you're wearing an apron or some sort of clothing that you're not worried about dripping glue onto. All right, we're going to place our little paper dots into this glue mixture, making sure that both sides are coated. I like to scrape off the extra so that it doesn't drip, and then simply stick it on our balloon. Rearrange here so that you can actually see what's going on in the camera. We want to make sure that we are putting this on the balloon side that does not have the knot, so that is going to be down away from our balloon. We're going to start on the opposite side, look for that little dark spot, that's our center point, and just start loading these glue-filled pieces of paper onto our balloon. Make sure when you're putting them on that they do overlap a little bit. Our goal is going to be to cover up as much space as possible. It's going to be easy to see with your balloon if you have a hole, and obviously if your pieces have a hole, then your bowl is going to have a hole and stuff could potentially slip right through. So paper I'm using is a little glossy, so as you can see the glue is kind of beading up a little bit. You shouldn't have the same issue with the paper we provide. It should be pretty easy to go. So this one's got kind of a funky little shape. Not going to matter too much. We're going to end up overlapping another piece on top, so that's not going to be noticeable. So continue to dip, scrape, and cover your pieces. If they get too wet with glue, they do have a tendency to slide a little bit, so that scraping off of the glue is kind of important. Here we are. It's now been a day and I have all of my pieces on my balloon. I set it in the cup to dry and it is very, very dry now. So this is what my bowl is going to look like. Once it's popped, as you can see, I've got a few little holes. So we could go back through with another little piece and patch that on the inside if we wanted to, but I'm not going to be too worried about it. Now, our goal is to deflate the balloon slowly. So all these little drips of glue might cause some problems. I'm going to go through first and kind of loosen my edges and make sure that all of those little pieces come off evenly. You could always cut them off as well if you want more of a smoother finish, but I kind of like the way that the bubbles and pops up on the sides, so it doesn't bother me. I think it gives a really fun effect, but you could definitely just take a pair of scissors and trim it down if you wanted a flatter end. So now once we have our balloon completely covered with our wet dots, it's time to set it aside to let dry. This is where the cup or a bowl will come in handy. We're just going to take the little tail end, that's the heavier end, set it on top of that bowl or cup, slide it aside, and let it dry for about 24 hours. Once you come back the next day, it will be all ready to remove the balloon. Again, this part can be a little tricky because we're going to try to let the air out slowly, so we don't want to just come in and pop it. As you can see, there is a little bit of glue residue there, so if you pop it too fast, all those pieces are just going to suck in. So I'm going to start by taking my fingers and just gently lifting up any of those places where the glue has decided to try to run off. This should make our bowl lift off of our balloon a little bit more easily when we trim it. So just kind of run your finger around the edge, start loosening that up. You could theoretically just do this and take the bowl off completely this way, but it's definitely more fun to let the air out slowly and kind of see the bowl as it's forming. So going around, making sure those pieces are loose before we start deflating. That one's going to be a little tricky because it's sticking way up there into the air. So we really want to make sure that those ones are loose because those are going to most likely culprits to get folded and stuck as we, oh no, that was not what I wanted to have happen. So here just goes to show that it's not the end of the world if your balloon does pop, but this is what I was talking about, how it will just kind of cave your entire bowl in. So now I'm going to just kind of peel my balloon off. What we want to do actually is pull our tip here, just give it a little slit, and then squeeze and slowly let the air out so that this does not become your bowl. But again, not the end of the world. We can salvage this. I am just going to very carefully peel off all of the balloon from the inside, and then I will kind of reform the bowl how it was supposed to be. So don't be like me, people. Don't use old balloons. They tend to be a lot more brittle and are more likely to explode. But it was blown up, and I like to reuse things and not let them go to waste. So also, please make sure that your balloon pieces, once you are done with them, get thrown properly in the garbage so that wildlife can't get to them. All right, so as you can see, I've got a few pieces here that have collapsed. I'm just going to kind of spread them back out, reform them, give them a little shove. Thankfully, that glue has a pretty good memory, and it will go back to the way it was supposed to look initially. And once you've peeled that balloon off, you actually have a pretty fabulous bowl made from nothing but paper dots and glue formed around a balloon. How fun! I can't wait to see how yours turns out.
We hope you had a good time crafting with us today. If you have any questions regarding this project, feel free to leave a comment below or send us an email at info@crafttopiawa.com. And be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any future crafty goodness. Until next time!